Today we're debunking clips that you have sent in to me and launching a puzzle on the website. The last bits that you will need for the puzzle will appear throughout today's video, so make sure you're paying close attention. First, let's start off with a clip sent in by Dirk.
Take the chicken, put it in there.
And just drop it in there.
It'll flour itself and fry itself all in the same pot. Look how breaded, they get more breaded the longer you leave it in.
These are pretty too.
Oh, these are breaded perfectly.
That is so crazy.
There have been so many videos showing this technique and saying it's a wonderful new way to crumb chicken and it's heaps faster, so let's check it out. First of all, they added some flour into hot oil and then dropped in some chicken. And after a little while, once the chicken's up to temperature, we can pull it out. Now, this one has a few little bits of crispy flour on the edges, but the majority of it has nothing. It's just got the oil. I left this one in the oil for a lot longer, and despite it looking browner all over, it's actually the same result. There's some crispy bits on the ends, but that's it. It's not like crumbed chicken. If anything, the chicken is very dry because I've overcooked it. And now if we let the oil cool and sit, you end up with lots of cooked flour at the bottom. And if I stir that, you can see that it's not clumped together, it's just powdery. And that's because the flour was dry when we put it in. It wasn't clumped together, so it's cooked as individual little powdery bits of flour. That's why normally you would dip the chicken in the flour and then in an egg wash and then in the crumbs. So that's all quite moist and it clumps together, and then you fry it and you get that crispy exterior. Now, some videos did wash the chicken first so it would be a bit more moist, so for science let's just try it a slightly different way and see if we get a different result. This time I'm going to use a bit less oil and even more flour and stir that around. And I'm going to add in the chicken that has been rinsed so it's still damp and stir it around while it's cooking, which is what some of the videos said to do. And now it has a very thin, powdery texture on the outside and, like before, a few little crunchy bits on the ends. It's really not good. I would not recommend it. Next, Ethan wants to know if these reactions are real. There are so many videos nowadays that are AI or they're ripped off other people and re-uploaded multiple times, and so when people send me videos for debunking, I always like to try and find the original source of the videos. And this one, as far as I can tell, first came from Douyin, which is Chinese TikTok, and was uploaded to an account by Nan Qingyu. I don't speak Chinese, so forgive me if that pronunciation is incorrect. Let's do some experiments and see if the reactions are real. If we mix together some sodium hydroxide with some luminol powder and some water, and then take a drop of that, and to that add a tiny bit of potassium ferrocyanide. As it dissolves, you can see something is happening. But if we do that again, and this time turn out the lights, you can see it glows. This type of reaction is called chemiluminescence. When the reaction occurs, there's an excess of energy and that is given off in the form of light. It's very cool. Now, potassium ferrocyanide isn't the only thing that will cause luminol to glow. The iron in blood will also make it glow, which is why luminol is often used. You might have seen it in some of the crime scene movies where they spray it on to see if there are any traces of blood on garments or on carpet or anywhere where it might have been tried to be cleaned up. But you also need to do other tests to confirm if it was actually blood, because there's other things like household bleach that will cause luminol to glow quite brightly. It's very cool, but it does fade very quickly. Let's test another one. This one uses a drop of water, and then we just need to add some ferrous sulfate and potassium ferrocyanide. And if I speed it up, you'll see when they meet, they react to form Prussian blue. This is such a pretty reaction because the blue is so striking. Prussian blue pigment has been used in many famous paintings, including Starry Night by Van Gogh and The Great Wave by Katsushika Hokusai, and it was also a favourite with Bob Ross.
I'm going to start today with a small amount of Prussian blue on the 2-inch brush.
This reaction to form Prussian blue is the magic behind cyanotypes. If you've never heard of cyanotypes before, you mix together potassium ferrocyanide and ferric ammonium citrate in water, and then you paint that onto paper or fabric. And as you can see, nothing is happening. There's no Prussian blue forming, it's just the greeny colour of the ferric ammonium citrate. And that's because in this form, the iron in the ferric ammonium citrate can't react. Now, once it's completely dry, you can put something on top of it, whatever you want, and then we put that out in the sun. The ferric ammonium citrate is sensitive to UV light, so anything of it that is exposed to the sunlight is changing into a different form. You can see here the colour is going bluey and then a steely grey. Now, if we bring that inside and we put it in water, it does two things. One, it washes off any of the solution from the area that hasn't been exposed to sunlight, and anywhere that was exposed to the UV, that iron can now react to form the Prussian blue pigment. Magical, isn't it? This process was historically used to take exact copies of technical drawings, which is where the term blueprint comes from. And you can do the same thing now. You can print out whatever you want a copy of. I've actually reversed this image. The bits that you want to stay white will need to be black. Anywhere that is white will turn blue. Just put that printout on top of your cyanotype paper and put it out in the sun. I left it for a couple of hours, then bring it in and rinse it off just like before and wait for that Prussian blue to form. I really like how this one turned out. So to answer your question, yes, they are real chemical reactions. They have just been beautifully filmed on a macro scale. Next, if you have kids or teens in your life, then I have the perfect gift idea for you. It's hands-on, fun, educational, and not on a screen. Today's sponsor, KiwiCo, makes crates suitable for all ages and interests. This one is one of the Eureka crates. The instructions are easy to follow and everything you need comes inside the box. I really like the KiwiCo crates. We've had a lot of them over the years and they're a great hands-on way to actually discover how things work. And that builds confidence when it comes to tinkering and tackling other projects and even STEM subjects at school. You can choose a subscription or buy crates individually. They make a great gift and crates ship right to the door so you can send something thoughtful even if you live far away. Give kids the joy of creating with KiwiCo. Click on the link in the description or use the code COOKTHAT for 50% off your first crate. Next, Samuel wants to know if this works and if it tastes good.
I'm going to show you how you can quickly ripen an avocado, which isn't quite soft yet. Start by taking some tin foil and wrap the avocado up in it, and place it into a preheated oven at about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 90 degrees Celsius. After about 10 minutes, take it out, and you should find it's now soft, ripe, and perfect for eating.
Let's try. I've got some avocados here which are all unripe, especially this one, which is very solid to the touch. This one is a bit better, and so is this one. They have a little bit of give to them, but they're not fully ripe. So let's wrap those in foil and put them in the oven for 10 minutes. Now, once they've cooled, we can test them. The first one is definitely still hard. Let's try the next one. It still feels very firm. It's not looking good. It's still not ripe. It's not as firm as the previous one was, but I don't think it's any good. Let me taste it for you. No, that's not ripe. All of them are still unripe and rubbery, and now that I've cut them open, I feel like I've just wasted 3 avocados, so I would not recommend that one. Next, Gowrie wants to know if this works.
cherry frosting is thick and stable like buttercream, but has zero butter and stays up at room temperature for 48 hours without deflating. You're just gonna warm it. When all the candy is melted, pour it into a container, put plastic wrap on top, and then all you need to do is give it time in the fridge. And with the whisk attachment, you are gonna whip this. Here I have it on my delicious coconut sponge cake, which is just so great combination.
That video is by Manuela, and she has had a cooking blog for 15 years now, so I'm expecting that this one should work. Having said that, I have never tested any of her recipes, so I can't tell you what it's going to taste like without actually making it. So let's give it a go. The main ingredients in the candy are glucose syrup, sugar, and gelatin. So by melting those candies down into the cream, you're adding sweetness from the sugar and the glucose syrup and thickening it up using the large amount of gelatin that is in these sorts of candies. The colour turns out fairly neutral, so just like she did, you'll need to add more pink food colouring. After being in the fridge overnight, the gelatin is now set, and if we whip it up, it does indeed make a very thick, stabilised whipped cream.
It has a hint of cherry. It almost has that like cream cheese taste.
I'd describe it as creamy with a slight gumminess to it and a very subtle cherry flavour. So yes, it works. Whether you like it or not is going to just be personal preference.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice cake. I would definitely happily eat a slice.
Next, Luke wants to know, would this really achieve the same result? Especially with melted butter, it feels opposite to what I've always been told when it comes to lamination. And it seems that the majority of the comments agree with Luke. I have a confession to make. I don't like croissants. So even though I have made them before, I haven't made them lots and lots of times in order to experiment and perfect them like I have with macarons. So I may not be the best person to test this out for you, Luke, but I will give it a go. I made croissant dough yesterday and cut it in half so we have 2 equal portions for our experiment. For the traditional French method, you add a slab of butter and fold the dough over it to give you 3 layers. You then cut down the fold to release the tension and then fold it into thirds, which is called a letter fold. Now naturally you might think that we now have 9 layers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. But in fact these 2 pastry layers will mould together and these 2 will mould together because they have no butter between them. So we actually only have 7 layers and we need to wrap this and put it in the fridge to rest. For the other new fast method, he added softened butter and spread it out, then made cuts along the sides so that we get squares, and then he just folded that up. Those 2 layers of butter are becoming 1, so this is 3 layers. Now 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm having to really stretch this to make up for what we're losing on the corners. This makes 13 layers, now 14, 15 layers, and finally 16, 17 layers. Then he wrapped this and wrote to rest it in the fridge for 30 minutes. Now if we go back to our traditional French method, we now need to roll that out and give it another letter fold, bringing the number of layers to 19. Then you wrap that and rest it in the fridge for another 30 minutes, which is why this takes so long, and then you roll it out again and give it another letter fold, bringing us up to 55 layers, and then we need to rest it one more time. So the new method is definitely faster, but you end up with 17 layers instead of 55 layers, which is a big difference. So I'm going to roll this one out and cut off a portion that we can test just as is. And with the rest of it, I'm going to give it 1 letter fold, which is going to bring us up to 49 layers, which is a little bit closer to what it should be. And then I'm going to roll those all out to the exact same thickness and cut them to the exact same size so we can compare the methods. So we've got the fast method with 17 layers. The one at the back is full size. The two at the front are a little bit smaller because I didn't cut off a whole heap of dough. And then we've got the traditional French method with 55 layers in the middle. And then we have the fast method with one additional letter fold, giving us 49 layers on the right. And now we've got to leave all those to rise for a couple of hours. Then brush them all with an egg wash and bake them in the oven. This is the one that was made using the fast method, and it has some very defined, slightly thick layers, but I still think it looks pretty. This is the traditional French method, and hopefully you can see it has a lot more layers in there. They're not super even, but that's probably due to my lack of expertise and choosing the cheapest butter. You're supposed to use very high quality butter for croissants. And this one is using the fast method plus one letter fold, and I actually think this one looks the best out of all three that I made today. Perhaps softening the butter helps when it's not the best quality butter. But when it comes to croissants, it's what's on the inside that really counts. So let's cut them open and see what we've got. The fast method first. Now the traditional French croissant. And finally, the fast method plus an extra fold. The technique is all important with croissants, and as I said to you, I am not very experienced in this. Some people spend a lifetime just working on croissants and perfecting them. So I went to a bakery that specialises in croissants and spent $7.30 on one croissant to show you what they should look like in the middle. That's not what I was expecting. Cancel that. This is what they should look like, with perfect little even air pockets and thin flaky pastry. So as you can see, my technique still needs a lot more work, or perhaps the help of a commercial sheeting machine. But let's taste them and see if they're any good. Not bad. Kind of tastes like a store-bought croissant. Super flaky. And this one looked nice on the outside, but that texture here is just a bit doughy. Maybe I'm biased because I know which one was the French one. So I thought I'd ask Dave to come and taste them because he has no idea what I've been doing.
That would be number one. I think that would be number two and that would be number three. But those two are quite close. So, but definitely that one I think would be the best.
So the fast method does work if you're in a hurry, but you'll get a much nicer croissant if you take the time to follow the traditional methods. With thanks to my amazing patrons for all of your support. You guys are absolute legends. Make it a great week by being kind to others, and I'll see you on Friday. Oh, and the last piece of the puzzle that you'll need is here. Have fun.